Good morning. Welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, October 18th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S., 4:30 p.m. in London. In Bermuda, it's 12:30, and in Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Speaking of Bermuda, over the weekend there were two separate incidents of tourists being attacked in their hotel rooms by intruders. One was an American couple in their 60s at the Grotto. The man was hospitalized overnight and operated on. The woman was just treated and released. And in the Wharf Executive Suites, a 28-year-old Australian was hospitalized after being threatened by an intruder with a knife. On birthdays today, incredibly enough, the American rock and roll musician Chuck Berry has actually made it to the ripe old age of 84 years old. We'll now go to our main stories. In the Philippines, there's a massive super typhoon that's made landfall in Luzon, the northern island. This is Category 5 Megi, M-E-G-I. It's the strongest storm to hit the islands in at least 4 years. It made landfall in Luzon with winds of 155 miles per hour. It hit peak intensity a little bit outside of Luzon on its approach to the island of 190 miles per hour. Luzon is the Philippines' most significant economic center, although the capital, Manila, on the southern part of the island was spared most of the strongest winds. The strongest typhoon on record in the Philippines is Typhoon Mike, that hit in November of 1990. Mike's name was actually retired from the list of the Pacific storm names. It had reached such notoriety. Megi is expected to make a second landfall in China in a few days and will probably still have equivalent strength of a 3 or 4 category hurricane. The Chinese have already evacuated 140,000 people from a coastal province ahead of the typhoon. In London, specialist Bermuda domicile Lloyd's underwriter Hardy's has rejected outright a £3 per share indicative offer from Lloyd's rival Beazley. Beazley said that it was disappointed and surprised by Hardy's response. Beazley said that it had made the offer on October 6th. Hardy had rejected it in a letter dated October 8th. Beazley received the letter on October 11th. The proposal consisted of an all-cash offer funded by Beazley. It was at a 36% premium to Hardy's share price on October 5th. The bid valued Hardy at about $255 million US, or about 8 times last year's pre-tax profit. Beazley said that it believed that the two groups, Beazley and Hardy, were highly compatible, and said it remains committed to setting up a constructive dialogue with both the Hardy board and its shareholder. Beazley did not rule out going over the head of the Hardy's board to appeal directly to the shareholders. So that's pretty interesting. Ron Sandler, according to the Insurance Insider, they're the only people reporting this, has rejected a number of approaches from Lloyd's to take over as chairman of the society when Lord Levine finally steps down next year. Again, the Insurance Insider is the only publication reporting this. Sandler was the CEO of Lloyd's during those very dark days in the mid-1990s when Lloyd's and everybody else were on the ropes. In the United States, some grim economic news. Industrial production unexpectedly fell in September. Actually, it was the first time it had fallen in a number of years. Capacity utilization eased slightly, so it was sort of mixed messages, but production fell 0.2% after increasing by the same amount in August. The Federal Reserve and others had been expecting September's industrial production to rise another 0.2%. Capacity utilization, which is a measure of slack in the economy, actually edged down to 74.7%. So it was about 4 percentage points above the year-ago level, but it's still about 6 points behind the average. The stock market is up about 43 points right now, presumably taking heart by Chairman Bernanke's indication on Friday that he is, in fact, prepared to ease further. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Every day, the world wakes up and goes to work, pursuing the unique opportunities that lead the global economy forward. The complexity and close connectivity of today's global marketplace is a true modern miracle that can create unparalleled success. But it takes confidence, passion, innovation, and understanding.
Enabling opportunity.
Protecting capital.
Engineering innovation.
Investing in your future.
Ensuring continuity.
Finding the right balance.
It takes Aon.
Well, the strikers in France are causing even more havoc. The government said today that airlines have to drastically cut back on their flights into France tomorrow because of the strikes. The government says airlines must cancel 50% of the flights from Paris's Orly airport and 30% from other airports, including the biggest one, Charles de Gaulle. The government advised travelers flying in and out of France tomorrow to check with their airlines. The strikes, of course, have been open-ended and have been ongoing because of the government's plans to raise the retirement age to 62. Earlier this morning, French oil workers defied the government's demand to go back to work. They piled up tires and set them on fire in front of several refineries. Workers said that they would refuse to go back to work, blocking the entrance to many of the refineries with human chains and heavy black smoke from the tire fires. The Prime Minister of France pledged yesterday to do whatever is necessary to prevent fuel shortages. Fearful motorists have flocked to gas stations in a panic and found many of them empty. Aviation authorities have told short-haul carriers coming from other European countries to bring enough gasoline to get back. About 1,500 gas stations in France, those attached to French shopping centers, were out of gas by this morning. According to the French Gas Station Dealers Association, petrol stations attached to shopping centers supply the majority of the country's motorists. So now most of them have dried up. So France is getting increasingly chaotic with those strikes. Well, as if bad news doesn't need any more, here's some more for France. The Saudi Arabians are informing France about a new terror threat coming from Al-Qaeda. This is according to the French Interior Minister, Brice Hortefeux. He disclosed this morning. Hortefeux said that Saudi intelligence agency had alerted France of an imminent Al-Qaeda threat both to France and to Europe. The Interior Minister said, "This is not about overestimating the threat or underestimating it. I'm saying that the threat is real." The Saudis told Paris to specifically watch out for Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, an offshoot of Al-Qaeda. The Arabian Peninsula group has been responsible for several botched attempts at terror, including the supposed Christmas Day bombing of a U.S. airliner by a young Nigerian. This threat is not connected to the earlier threat that came last month to France. So high alert in France. In Brazil, yesterday, a bus on its way back from a sporting event sped off a bridge in southeastern Brazil, killed 11 people and injured 22 others. The Sao Paulo newspaper Estados de Sao Paulo is reporting that the bus left the bridge spanning the Arcoa River and plunged 100 feet into a ravine. The dead passengers were youths connected with a special events or a special needs competition who had competed in the sporting event and in fact were returning home when the event had terminated, and they in fact were killed. On Saturday night out in Canada's west, in the metropolis of Edmonton, A failed piece of electrical equipment caused an explosion and fireball at an electrical substation in downtown Edmonton Saturday night. According to the utility, the part that failed is actually called a pothead. It's an electrical insulator. It ruptured Saturday night at about 8:30 p.m. on a substation near 103rd Street and 106th Avenue. It shot a fireball 60 feet into the air and destroyed over 24 cars. Knocked out a whole number of windows in downtown Edmonton as well. Nobody was injured, fortunately. Well, here's a rather sobering story. Let's pull him up. With all of the news going on and the American and NATO efforts along Waziristan and the Afghan-Pakistani border, we're always consoled by the fact that he's living in deprivation somewhere in some sort of a cave. But according to a senior NATO official, Osama bin Laden is alive and well and living comfortably in a house in the northwest of Pakistan. This, of course, contradicts the belief that bin Laden is roughing it in an underground bunker as he dodges CIA drones. According to the unnamed NATO official, nobody in al-Qaeda is living in a cave. The unnamed official said that Ayman al-Zawahiri, bin Laden's second in command, is living in a house close by. Pakistani officials on Monday repeated their denials that bin Laden or anybody else is being given safe haven. However, the NATO official said that bin Laden is thought to have moved anywhere from the mountainous Chitral region near the Chinese border all the way to the Karam Valley, which borders Afghan's Tora Bora area. He's also been supposedly living in North Waziristan, which is a nexus for the Afghan, Pakistani, and Arab militants as they continue to plot attacks against NATO forces. The Pakistanis are saying that any allegations that bin Laden is being protected are false, and they went on to say that every time something important is happening, when things like this keep creeping out, they, referring to the Americans and NATO, come up with more excuses. If it's not bin Laden, it's something else. Well, I'll tell you, if he's living somewhere in a house and Ayman al-Zawahiri is next to him, we definitely should be able to find him. Stock market remains up. It's up about 46 points now. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.